Hello, everybody, and welcome to Everything Paranormal with Mark and Jeff. I'm Mark.
I'm Jeff.
A little later on, we will be broadcasting live on Ustream. That ought to be pretty interesting, right? You get to see my bald head. All right. Oh, boy, it's going to be a lot of fun. Jeff, what's been going on with you this week? Anything good?
Let's see. This week. I had the kids this weekend, so not much extracurricular activity.
Right. No, keep it low. We did a good investigation.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep, we had a great investigation.
Yep.
Private.
That was a nice, spontaneous, spur-of-the-moment one, too.
Yeah, the girl was a little freaked out, and, the woman with the baby, and I think we helped her out.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but...
Yeah, but...
I nailed that one.
Yeah, you might have. Yeah, you did pretty well. Sounds good. Time to give up the cigars. Oh, my goodness.
I'm sorry.
But, yeah, we actually, we'll probably talk about it a little later on. But we have a busy schedule tonight. A full show.
Yeah.
So far, knock on wood, Skype has been cooperating with us. Skype and Blog Talk. So welcome to DTMWickedRadio.com and Everything Paranormal with Mark and Jeff. It's great to have you guys back. Let's introduce our first guest. Our first guest is the author of How to Survive Life and Death, actually, and it's a guide to happiness in this world and beyond. And it's a great book. I had just finished it last week. It's a great book. It's a good good reader. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robert Kopecki. Hi, Robert.
Hey, Robert. Hello, gentlemen. Nice to see you.
Hi, Robert. Speak up. Did you press 1?
Well, I wrote a book, but my greatest interest is to go to angelsguide.org in my spare time.
How's the angelsguide.org thing going anyway?
Getting a lot of people going to it.
Yeah.
I'm pushing myself, though. It's good because I'm all over the place. You know, I'm doing my weekly video thing now. Doing,
that's fun.
I'm going to be on Chad Shambo's show next Thursday.
Oh, great.
This Thursday from 8 to 9. Then I'm pushing mine back from 9 to 9:30 or 10 or whatever. Still tell them that I go. That's what's good. You can do it as long as you want.
Right.
So, you know, and then you're starting yours tomorrow.
Tomorrow night? I don't have a name for it yet, though.
I don't really have a name for mine.
No? Well, it's going to be like in and around Salem. I don't know.
At the end of each one of mine, I kind of just put a title on it.
Right.
And then whatever I was talking about.
Right.
So I really haven't come up with a full name. I was talking to Danny, so I want to get a banner made, but I haven't even thought about what I want to call it yet.
Right. Well, yeah, you kind of need to show.
We're groundbreaking.
We are.
We're the only two that are really doing this.
That's it.
So Tiffany, me, you, and Tiffany.
Yeah.
You know,
Tiffany's
she's
doing
it
too.
for hers.
Yeah. It's the way to go.
Yeah.
It's fun, too.
Yeah.
You'll see us live later on. We're going to be about 9 o'clock, 9 p.m.
You'll see why we have a face for radio.
Yeah. Isn't that true? Robert, you out there yet, Robert? Hello, Robert. I was trying to bring him in out of queue. I know he's on queue. If he's in there, see if he's in queue, if he can hear us. He's going to press 1. Press 1, numero uno.
Use one of life's secrets. Press the right button. Oh, now he's gone.
No, I don't know. He's still in queue. It's crazy. Boy, did we miss Danny.
Skype is attacking us again?
No, it looks all right. I don't know.
Are we just like simple people?
Maybe we did something wrong. I don't know. Like in a previous life.
We need to just hire like a person that does stuff for us. We're getting bigger now. We can do that.
Yeah. What? Like a real producer?
No, just like you know, like in Iron Man, he has that lady that does all of his menial tasks for him.
Yeah.
That's what we need. Someone to do our laundry and set our appointments and whatever we need done.
Right.
We don't have time for this little stuff.
No, we don't. All right, so what you going to do again since we don't have a producer, right? We'll pull him in here, okay? We're going to go back a little bit. Talk about yourself for a second, Jeff.
Oh, my favorite subject.
No, wait a minute. Now. Let's talk about that investigation we had the other night.
Oh, That was good, actually. I mean, that just kind of popped up. I wasn't feeling good. I was feeling kind of crappy. You were there. I'm like, oh, I'll go for an hour. Then we went there. It was an interesting one.
Right.
I mean, the girl was feeling stuff that, she was kind of scared of it because she didn't really know what it was. Neither did we till we started, poking around. But I went in that back bedroom, and it was the weirdest feeling I ever had. I'm so glad I went to this because I was feeling the energy of someone who was living and not dead yet, but they were close to being dead, and they were in a vegetation state, and they learned how to travel back and forth to different places.
Right.
It was incredible because that feeling, I'm like, this is a weird feeling, but was someone in this room? I don't feel anyone died in here, and then she told me that her Aunt Judy,
right,
who was in a vegetative state since 2008, and she was in that room. That was the last room, and then that was her son's room now. And it was funny because she's painting the place, and her grandmother had lived there. Judy and the girl's grandmother had lived there first, and everything was all white, and she was putting paint on everything, and they weren't happy about the paint, but they were okay with it. And so that was a good one. We got I think we're going to get some good evidence from that one, too.
Yep, some good EVPs, good shadow.
Yeah,
let's see if our first guest is here. Mr. Robert Kopecki. Robert, you here? Hello, Robert. He hears us, and that's unbelievable stuff.
Well, this is awkward.
Yeah. I don't know. We're having these difficulties with the Skype right now. We know he's there.
Telling you. You know what I think we should do?
What's that?
Go back to phones.
Yeah.
Our little three-way phone was awesome.
Yeah, it might be the way, huh?
We had our 2 speakers. We had our phone thing. Never died on us.
Right.
Video and all this other stuff. We don't need to be thinking about Skype. Skype doesn't like us.
It does not cooperate with us. We have a poor guest hanging there in a limbo right now. We can't pull him in. Is
there another number he can call?
Yeah, I've been calling him.
Oh.
Well, 1 second. So I'm going to call him back right now. That's what I'm going to do.
There you go.
Yeah, that'll work. So, while I'm calling him, you talk a little more about the investigation, all right?
Okay.
Crazy technical difficulties. So, we did get a couple of good EVPs in that one. Absolutely.
Yeah, good raw ones too. No, with the ghost box, we did some ghost boxing too, but we got a few that and then now what we do too is we just bring the computer with us.
Right.
So we were able to put it right on the computer. We can, if we get little blip, we had that one little blip. I don't even remember what it says. Paul's got all this. Looking at it.
So as we're talking right now, I'm going to press buttons on, and then we press enter, and we still don't have them. All right, we got our producer working on it. Robert, you with us yet? Okay.
No, but actually, that was a good one.
Yeah.
What else we got coming up?
We have, it's busy here in Salem, downtown Salem, witchcityghosts.com. Come on down, get your own ghost hunting tour live.
Yeah. Now you're getting into your season.
Yeah. It's going to be really busy. So it's going to be all good. It'll be all good for sure. It's
Uh-oh. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio.
All right, see, now I'm going to get right in the queue there.
Did we get thrown off?
No. See, it works for me.
I can hear it works for you.
Yeah. Hello, Robert.
Press 1, Robert.
That's craziness. 713-955-0384, Robert. We'll get you right in. That just worked for me. You know what you can do, though? We just call him. That's what we're going to do, Jeff. Boy, do we miss Danny. Danny, we miss you.
Yeah, we do.
We miss Danny. So I start my show tomorrow. Again, that's 713-955-0384. Press 1 and you get right in.
So I just got right in there. About?
Tomorrow I think it's going to be, it's been done to death, but Ghost Hunter 101. But I'm going to show a little bit of evidence and some of the better points here in Salem, Mass. Check out my website, witchcityghost.com. And also find me and Jeff on Facebook, Mark Legere, and he's Jeff Legere. We're all on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm in Facebook jail, so you'd have to friend me. I can't friend you.
Right.
I'm in for 2 weeks this time.
What you doing wrong?
I was like, some people friended me. I friended some other people. And then they're like asking, do you know them? And I say, yeah. And then other people, like, they say no. But it's all ghost stuff, you know? And
right.
And then they say, you don't know this person. You're in Facebook jail. You do it again, and it's permanent. So I got to stop. I'm done.
Oh, really? You're going to get like
I'm just going to let people friend me from now on.
You're going to get the permanent one?
I don't know. That's what they said. They were getting
Hey, we got a ring. There's one ringy-dingy.
Oh, look, I lost a friend.
Hello, Robert Kopecky. Welcome to the show. I don't know how we lost you, what we did, but I found you. How you doing?
Hey, you guys. I'm all right. All right.
Made it.
Yeah, I'm glad we
that whole experience just there reminded me of my first near-death experience, actually, when I was trying to attract people's attention, but apparently I was a ghost.
Oh, wow.
Nobody could hear me.
That's our every week with Skype.
I went
how
back.
We feel.
Yeah, we've had these difficulties with these. Yeah, oh God, since
we know
switched
exactly
over.
what you're talking about.
So Robert Kopecky, let's introduce yourself to the people. Tell them what you do, and tell them about your book, How to Survive Life.
Well, I have by trade, I'm an animation designer and an art director and an illustrator for many years. I've done all that kind of work, and have worked on lots of children's television shows, animated TV shows like Codename Kids Next Door or PBS Kids Word World. I did the credits for Weeds on Showtime, that TV show Weeds about the woman who sells pot.
Oh wow!
Nice.
Opening credits for that. But in my spare time, I have near-death experiences and apparently write about them. This is something that's just kind of come about recently. I had a blog where I used to put my my artwork up on for the animation stuff.
Yeah.
And I started to write spiritual posts on it, and the writing started to become more popular than the art. And then I kind of got caught. I did a lot of meditation, and I got sort of a call from the other side to write this book about these three experiences that I had and what they've meant in my life. And I kind of knocked this book out. I had no idea I was going to be a writer. I submitted it to one company, and the guy sent me to another company, and they bought. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
You all are.
Yeah, there's an echo going on.
Are we in the afterlife?
Afterlife. So, what are we doing? Can you fix it?
Hold on, we're trying.
What's going on here? You have the radio on?
No.
Not meant to be. All right, hold on a second. Hold on a second. What is it? Just starting up?
Yeah.
I'm going to cut them down. Yeah. Still hear us?
Yes, I do.
All right, folks. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away. Robert, hold on.
Why is this that?
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hi, Robert. Hi, Robert. Wow, we're having issues.
You want to call me back?
Yeah, I'll call you right back. We are having technical difficulty. We'll be right back.
The Caring Coaching Center is a proud sponsor of DTM Wicked Radio Network. What would it mean to you to have better health, more energy, more vitality, and an all-around better life? At the Caring Coaching Center, our mission is to be your partner in helping you reach your health, fitness, and lifestyle goals. We do this through a dynamic 6-month program that helps our clients reach their goals and their full potential. And it all starts with a free, no obligation, 50-minute health history consultation. Just visit us at the www.thecaringcoachingcenter.com to schedule your free consultation today. Or you can go to www.dtmwickedradio.com, click the sponsor page, scroll down to the Caring Coaching Center tab, click on the tab and open up to the website to start your free consultation today. It's all here on dtmwickedradio.com.
Hello? Hello? Who's that? Whoa! Water! There's a ghost on the stairs. do believe
Hi,
in
Robert.
spooks. I do.
Yeah, hello.
Do believe in
Oh,
spooks.
Becky. Welcome back. Sorry, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty with an echo, but I think we're back. Wow. How you doing anyway? Go ahead right ahead.
The message was coming on 3 times as strong.
Yeah, he was really getting that message. He was putting it out there. Folks, I apologize, but we are back, and we are live with Mr. Robert Kopecki.
All right.
Start again from the beginning.
Yeah, one more time. No, where were you before you were
interesting.
interrupted?
We're talking about...
where were we?
We're talking about your animation.
Yep. Okay.
And...
talking about what I do aside from writing this book, but that really has kind of turned into the book has turned into sort of a full-time thing, except for that I still design animation and do artwork for a living, but I'm talking about this a lot these days. I didn't realize that I would be in the midst of the near-death experience kind of ring, but it seems like I am now, and it's an interesting place to be. I never thought I was paranormal, but I suppose I am.
Get the paranormal vibe going on, huh?
Yeah, it's everybody has a little fault with paranormal, and a lot of people they write it off as to something that it's something else. But everybody has something in their life happen that's unexplainable.
Our basic reality is that we're on a planet in outer space, right? So if that's what you're starting with, everything else seems pretty sane in that context, right? I mean...
Yeah, when you think about it, you're right.
It's interesting for me because sort of aside from the theme of the book, which are these 3 near-death experiences, I did have kind of an oddly mystical or paranormal upbringing when I was a kid. I grew up on the border in San Diego, in eastern San Diego, and my dad had a business downtown, and he had a lot of Mexican people working for him. And when I was a little boy, there was a guy in his 70s named Arturo, who was a Mexican Indian, who used to tell me stories about flying around in starships with beautiful little people that he knew out in the desert and stuff. And then my mom took us looking for Bigfoot when I was about 10. This was 1966, right? So this was way before.
Way ahead of the curve.
It was popular.
Right?
Yeah. And, I've seen a few UFOs. At one point, a couple different times, I went to the Yucatan and explored the Yucatan, the Mayan underworld. This was all before I really realized that I was kind of heading in this direction, that I was on a spiritual path. I just happened to be doing all these things. I was in Phoenix for the Phoenix Lights. I witnessed that. I was here in New York City where I lived for 9/11, just kind of up the street from it.
Can I ask you a question?
And yeah.
Have you ever done any channeling?
I think that I have, actually.
Yeah, a lot of people that have seen these UFOs, it's kind of a sign to them that they made a pact in life before they were born that they were going to be doing some channeling.
Oh, here's an interesting story along those lines. When I was in my 20s or so, I was at my mom's house for Thanksgiving, and I told everybody at the table this story about my brother and his imaginary friends. He had these 2 imaginary friends that were twins. They were little guys who had blue jumpsuits and big eyes, and they used to play with him in the backyard, and they'd show him scenes from different worlds, and they'd show him animals that he'd never seen before. And my mom said, that's very interesting that you tell that story, Bob, because it's true, except for that it wasn't your brother, it was you. You had the imaginary friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't have very much to do with, what happened to me in the rest of my life that I ended up writing this book about. But when I look back on it, I really have had kind of a mystical life in a lot of ways, comparatively, certainly.
So it actually,
Tell us about your book. Tell us about your book.
Well, the book, I don't know how much of it got out before, but it was really just kind of as a result of taking up a meditative practice, kind of like realizing that this mystical path was for me.
Yeah.
I had a life with a lot of stuff going on in it, lots of ups and downs, and I ended up kind of hitting a wall where nothing seemed to be working very well for me. And at that point, I turned my life around and started on a spiritual path and began meditating and stuff. And that led to doing service and studying a lot of texts of old ancient texts, sort of the classic spiritual texts and stuff. And I kind of got called to write this book because I had these three experiences. The first near-death experience I had, I was quite... Yeah, hello?
Hello? Oh, yeah. Hello.
Yeah. It happened when I was quite young. I was in my 20s. I got in a single-car accident, busing with a cassette player that stopped working, and I found myself at the top of a telephone pole up by the street light looking down on the scene of the car wreck, and people coming out of their houses and running over and calling. They said to call the ambulance, and the ambulance came, and they put me into the ambulance and started taking me away. And kind of like my experience earlier on your show here, I was hearing everything that they said, but nobody could hear me. I was trying to talk to people and stuff, but it didn't work. And then I got sort of shepherded off into the clouds, into kind of a cloud. And I ended up having this sort of interview with a benevolent spirit. I guess I don't really remember exactly who it was, but we had this kind of interesting conversation where a lot of important stuff got hashed out, I guess. And about 20 hours in normal time later, I regained consciousness, and I was, back in the regular world. And that was my first one, which taught me that we're like avatars. We're spiritual entities riding around in these bodies and having an experience on this earth plane, so to speak.
Oh yeah,
which is pretty science fiction-y, pretty paranormal.
It's
right?
true.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah, we're not all about. With the title, it's Everything Paranormal, but we're not. We're way beyond.
Yeah, we talk about everything. We talk a lot about universe because. Energy, because spirits are energy and the whole universe is energy. So if somebody passes on and they haven't settled or something, or they just kind of went and, suddenly and they didn't really know, their energy is still here and they're kind of confused and they don't know what to do. So, whereas everything is energy, there's light, there's dark, and there's all kinds, everything is in balance. So
and we know from thermodynamics that energy never goes away, right? It just changes form. And there's something interesting about that is that my experience of consciousness was seamless. I didn't lose consciousness, so to speak. It was like stepping from one room into another, where my consciousness on the other side, as it were, was very lucid and very easy. It felt liberated, kind of, like my thinking wasn't sequential and frantic at all. It was just, it felt very holistic. I felt like I had joined kind of an intelligence.
Yeah.
And I think that we're starting to get to the point, even science is starting to get to the point more and more, where we're recognizing consciousness as a field, as a kind of like a quantum field that we all share, that we all take part in, and that we never really lose contact.
Yeah.
And certainly by my experiences, even after we supposedly die, we are still connected to it in a different way, in some form, but it's nonetheless something that we and all the animals and plants take part in, everything that's alive on this earth.
Yeah, so
animated by
when you die, you're connected to source, and you lose all those earthly problems that you don't have to worry about anymore.
Exactly. And a lot of our problems, I had a lot of problems. I don't recommend having 3 near-death experiences to anybody. This is not the road, this is the road not best traveled kind of, right?
I'll pass on that.
So the difficulties really do seem to be in front of us, so that we can learn how to overcome them. You know, they say that you need to be broken open to the truth, and so difficult things happen in our life, so that we can learn how to surmount them and discover what the techniques and principles are that carry us through that, and allow us to transform hard things in our life into easy things.
Oh yeah, we're here to expand. We're not here to, our thoughts, like we've been talking about lately, our thoughts are we're in a vibrational world, and our thoughts are vibration. So it's the thoughts that you put out there, that's what you're getting back. I mean, if you start thinking about problems that are going to happen in the future, or if you start thinking about your problems that have happened in the past, I mean, that's basically, you're going to keep getting those lessons until you finally get that lesson once and you look at it differently, and then basically the universe and sources knows that you've changed, and you won't really see that lesson anymore.
Right. Yeah, I like to say, if you're going through hell, keep going.
I've heard that a lot lately. It's been popping up a lot lately, like on different posts and stuff.
No, what do you mean?
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah,
it's
a good one, because it's very true. The difficulties are what we learn, and it's a funny thing about sort of a soul existence, or this kind of eternal existence, is that apparently your soul requires a death experience for growth. And by that, I don't mean necessarily actually dying, actually having something traumatic or some disease or something that actually kills you, but it can be just these points in your life where everything comes to an end. Like I described about myself earlier, I came to a place in my life where nothing worked, where I was sort of faced with this kind of trauma of the state of my being, and everything had to change. So we all have these periods where we lose relationships, we lose jobs, something terrible happens in our life, and in a way that's a death experience on a small scale, because you have to move through it. Everything ends, everything changes, and anytime you see a death, you're going to see a transformation right behind it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's always change, and
with every end, there's a new beginning.
Yeah, because it's basically, each problem, you can look at it as a problem, or you can look at it as, this is a chance for me to change right now, change the situation, and start thinking better thoughts and sending out better vibrations, that things will change on this. And you won't see that right away. And that's where most people lose it, because they say, I've been thinking my good thoughts, I've been saying my affirmations. But what they don't realize is you are going to see an echo of that same situation, and it's how you react to it that's going to change. You need to change from the inside, not the outside. As you change from the inside, the outside will change.
Right, and it's just human nature. It's like why we got kicked out of the Garden of Eden, right, is that we assume this will, this responsibility, or this sense of control over our lives that isn't really necessarily true, So most people, that's a problem with The Secret that a lot of people have, if you're familiar with The Secret and those kind of manifesting sort of programs.
Mm-hmm.
Is that very same thing. People feel like they're doing the right thing, like it should be working for them, but it's not.
Yep.
And it's not because they're engaging too much with their will and too much with their ego, it's unconsciously.
Yeah.
That they're not allowing stuff to happen on the universe's schedule.
Yeah. They say, I manifested this, but it's not here yet.
Right. Yeah. Those expectations set you up for disappointment, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then the world reflects your disappointment.
Yeah, because now you're sending out disappointment because it's not there.
Right.
It's like I tell Mark, he doesn't get this one, but if you bought a couch on a Sunday and it's getting delivered on Thursday, you don't sit around on Tuesday and Wednesday waiting for the couch because you know it's coming on Thursday, so you let it go until Thursday.
So what do you mean I don't get it? I
Because
don't get that. You say it every week?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you're going to get
Get
the
out.
notes.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to put out a manifestation and then you keep thinking about it and you're thinking, well, it's not here, it's not coming, it's not here. What's up? How come it's not coming? You're just sending out that vibe to the universe. You haven't vibrationally matched what you want to have.
Does that have to do with my aura being all over the place? Like my aura is like crazy?
Yeah,
All
probably.
over the place.
Well,
What
aura's
color-
changed.
What color is my aura?
Blue.
Yeah, that's somebody told me that.
But it changes.
Man, you're all over the place.
It changes
Exciting.
in different moods.
Oh, I don't know about
You
that.
know, it changes as you change, like your
Oh,
mood.
yeah.
So it's not always.
Clean up your aura.
Yeah.
Take control of your aura.
Take
Yeah.
control of your aura. Yeah.
The thing that I suggest, because I have these, what I call them 3 tips for happiness, right?
Okay.
And what we're talking about really is that there appears to be this kind of invisible machinery that underlies this reality, right? It's at work all the time, the spiritual machinery that we can engage in certain ways. And when you talk about manifesting, then that means that you need to be able to engage in it the appropriate way to have something come about that you're wishing to have happen. Well, there are tricks to it, I guess, and a big part of the problem is that you're doing it with a human brain, you're in a human form, and you've got all of these feelings and thoughts that crop up that might get in the way of everything. Well, I suggest these 3 different what I call tips for happiness that are just simple methods for accessing this kind of machinery, you know. The first one is radical kindness. And in radical kindness, what you do is that you do it maybe for a couple of days and see how it works. And I guarantee you it will really change your life a lot.
Yeah.
It's just as nice to everybody as you possibly can be. You just sincerely
Positive.
through
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
no matter who they are.
I try to
and
do that
watch
anyway.
what happens. Yeah. It really transforms your life. You know?
Yeah. Treat everybody like they're the most important person in the world.
Yeah, well, like you would like to be treated, right? It's the golden rule because, in a way, we really are kind of all the same person. If you stand back from the earth and look at it, you see this, like, light mold that looks like a 5 o'clock shadow, and that's all of humanity, right? That's all of us.
Interesting, yeah.
That's everything. And so to say that we're something different from one another is a little bit crazy in that respect. And when you think about it, everybody is thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same feelings, having the same hopes and fears, like one big mind in a lot of ways. So when we take away our tendency to compare and judge that our ego kind of presents us with when we deal with each other, if we can strip that away, then you can just see the authentic person underneath trying their best to get through this life, right? And then you identify with one another just like we are brothers and sisters, just like we're the same person.
Yeah.
Together, right?
Yeah, because maybe
that engages us in this, the invisible machinery of spirituality. Right?
I mean, maybe what they're going through in the course they took to try to get through it, it's the only course that they knew how to do. So you might not agree with it, but it was their path that they thought they had to take.
Right. Yeah, and people are at all different levels of awareness. They're at all different levels of consciousness, and they're all going through what they need to go through to, get to where we all are going.
Yep. Expansion.
Which I think is kind of like back to love, It's sort of like back to the source, like all of the wisdom literature of the ages tells us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you think about it. I mean, the Bible and all the books, they all say the same thing, but it's the way we interpret it that, it's like, think of it and you will move mountains and things like that. And but people just kind of read over that. But then, Jesus was telling us the same thing. He's basically,
be positive.
Be as I am. Don't follow me. Be as I am.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we all.
I'm a big fan of the Gospel of Thomas, which is one of those Nag Hammadi Gospels. It wasn't part of the regular canon, It wasn't a lot. It was heresy, is what it was considered to be.
Yeah.
Because it's not a narrative; it's just these wisdom quotations.
Really?
By Jesus, and yeah, it's wonderful.
Where do you find
things
it?
like? Pardon?
Where do you find that?
The Gospel of Thomas, you can find it in any bookstore pretty much. You can just go online for it. I recommend a translation by a guy named Leloup, Leloup.
Okay.
It's really a wonderful and interesting take on the whole thing. He has commentary along with it.
Really? I haven't heard of that.
Yeshua in that, he says things like whoever drinks of my mouth will be as I am, and I will be them.
Okay.
Or the kingdom of heaven is spread across the earth, but men don't have eyes to see it. Or if you make the two into one and say move to the mountain, it will move. Now the two are, your material self and your spiritual self.
Mm-hmm.
If you merge them into one, basically spiritual self, then you can make a lot more things. You have a presence in this world that enables you to be more effective.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me tell you about the second near-death experience real quick, because I learned something really important from that one too. You'll notice that my near-death experiences are not of the grand variety. They're not spectacular vistas of heaven with crowds of singing angels and stuff. I love to hear all that kind of stuff, and I have complete faith in other people's testimonies of those experiences. But mine were of kind of a more modest variety, sort of, where I just got these basic lessons really pounded home, kind of. Particularly in my third one, I got it pounded home because I got beaten up by skinheads my third time. But my second time, I had been living this kind of riotous lifestyle in New York City, and I had what I like to charitably call a toxic reaction to my lifestyle. And I lost it completely and was out on the floor and entered into like a bright white cloud. Actually, the room was enveloped by this bright white cloud when I was laying there. And my girlfriend was there talking to me, and she faded away. And just like when you're looking out the window of an aircraft at your very high elevation flying through the bright clouds, it was just that bright white. And a screen, and this is a typical near-death experience, right? A screen opened up in front of me and started showing me these scenes of my life.
Wow.
Like discrete panels of time with experiences that were not, these are not like my best hits, they weren't like the golden moments of Bob's life. These were these oddly pivotal sort of lesson-bearing moments in my life that taught me that there is this kind of record of these things going on, some kind of technology that apparently exists that keeps track of every moment, that every moment can be very important in our dealings with one another, right? And that we're going to be able to see it, look at it, check it back out, and that sometimes it's not the moments that we think are important that really are important when we look back at them, and to be present, to be really present for every moment in our life. So that was a pretty important lesson too, I think.
Yeah.
That definitely is. What was near-death experience number 3?
Near-death experience number 3 was my least favorite way of going. I was assaulted by a skinhead, and I was on the phone with my fiance at the time, and this guy. I had just come from New York City. I was in a small town in Arizona, and it was Super Bowl night, and I'd been out with friends, and I was calling her to check back in, and this drunk skinhead started to kind of attack me. I think because I looked a little too urban for him or something, And I settled him down and got back on the phone with my fiancée to tell her what had happened, because he'd reached in and hung up the phone on me and was pushing me and stuff like that. And I had settled him down, but then when I got back on the phone with her, he came back at me. And I made a terrible mistake. There was a lesson in itself, and I punched the guy right on the kisser, and he went out like a light.
Good. All right.
And the people around me applauded and stuff. They thought it was great, but it was kind of like I made good my escape. I thought, no matter what, I really should get out of here right now.
Yep.
And I had ridden a bicycle, and I got on the bicycle and took off, and I didn't know that there was a van full of skinheads who had witnessed the whole thing.
Oh, man. That's
it kind of like, not good. It kind of like drove up behind me and hit me in the head with a tire iron or something when I was riding my bike. I don't know exactly what happened. And then according to the police report that I got about a year and a half later, it took for me to get the police report, they stomped and kicked me for the better part of an hour.
Oh.
And I was pretty messed up. I had a lot of injuries that needed surgical repair.
Yeah.
But the near-death experience was different from the other two. It wasn't quite as light and as comfortable and as friendly. I guess if you can wear out your welcome on the other side, maybe I've kind of done that.
I think you wore out your welcome. God saying, listen, this is the third time I'm doing this for you.
4 strikes, you're out.
Like, you do this again, and you'll just be with me next time.
Wow.
Well, and here's the thing about this one, which makes it another kind of typical near-death experience, is that I didn't want to come back. I wanted to stay there. I'm like, I'd had it, man. That was plenty.
Yeah.
But what happened was that I was told, once again, I don't remember exactly who it was. I don't remember the personages that were there with me.
Right.
I now, believe it to be one, my guardian angel was there all the time. I feel like this one spirit that I basically now talk to, I now have a relationship with. You asked me if I channeled earlier, and I do. When I sit in meditation, I basically enter into a place where I can personally kind of communicate with the spirits who've taken care of me. But they were all there, and they said, you got to go back. You cannot stay here. There are things that you need to do. And I was sort of gently pushed right back to life. I opened my eyes, and there was an emergency medical technician over me looking down at me, and he said, he's back. So that was number 3.
Yeah, after that one, I think that God, next time, he's like, all right, you've had it 3 times. You're done.
Yeah, it's all. Almost like a cat. It's got 4 lives, at least 4 lives.
Yeah.
So, Robert,
I put a little light between myself and that experience now. So it took place over about 15 years or so, all 3 of them.
Yeah.
And the last one was around 1999 or so. That third one happened. But I had to keep living in ignorance, so to speak, not really taking the lessons that I'd learned from those, but just continuing to try to live a regular life. And like I said earlier, it kind of crashed on me, and I ended up, really going to the place where I rediscovered what all of this meant and straightened my life out, and it has really been nice since then. And so all of these ideas kind of coalesced in the writing of this book.
Yeah, nice. So is this basically what your book's about? Mark's read it. I haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's nice.
I did read it. I liked it. It was a very good book.
Yeah, that sounds like a nice book that you don't want to put down. Do you have a website where people can find this book?
It's robertkopecky.blogspot.com. And I also have a Facebook author page that has a lot of media and stuff like that on it, and I'm on Twitter and all of those things. Yeah, one of the things that I really tried to do was that I developed kind of a fascination with texts, with reading obscure. And I'm not this kind of guy, believe me. I'm a pretty regular guy, So me getting involved in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali or the Gospel of Thomas, like I was telling you about, or the Upanishads or the Bhagavad Gita or any of this kind of stuff, it was pretty unusual for me, but I developed this real hunger for all of this kind of information and started really pouring through this stuff. And then I started reading a lot of quantum physics and that kind of thing too, and then some of the manifestation stuff. But you know what I discovered is that a lot of the language in it is kind of difficult. It's not like normal talking. You have to sort of know the vernacular or the jargon to feel a part of it, or I did, you know. And so writing this book about all of the things that I've discovered and sort of synthesized, I realized that I wanted to write it in a way that it was accessible and more like a conversation and fun, you know, so that you could have fun talking about death for a change.
Well, it was fun read, absolutely. Jeff getting his soda. Terrific. For Ron too. It was great. What are you working on in the future, Robert? What's up next?
Well, you know, I find myself writing for all these places like Gaian TV or BeliefNet and the Mindful Word, Soul Lifetimes. These are all websites that I'm writing for. I write for my own blog quite a bit, and I've got a couple of live things coming up. I'm going to be here in New York City October 17th at the Namaste Bookstore on Friday, October 17th at 6:30, doing a reading and signing. And you know, I got another book that I'm starting to think about. But right now I'm really just enjoying the opportunity to bring this message to people and to continue to write and hopefully have people discover this book and discover the things that I have without having to go through the things that I had to go through, you know.
Good for you. You're living your dream.
Yep.
Well, I did not know that I was going to be a writer just maybe 5 years ago or so.
Yeah, but you followed your path. You followed your path and brought you right where you should be. That's good.
And, you know, that is a message for everybody to know. I mean, like I said earlier, if you don't think this is a magical world, just consider where we start with it, being on a planet in outer space. It's pretty magical already. And so there really is an invitation for us to find the means to discover our authentic self and to be able to put that expression out into the world and be what we're supposed to be, achieve what we're supposed to achieve. Remove the obstacles to love, remove the obstacles to our being able to express ourselves. And, you know, the other tips for happiness I have, one of them is radical kindness I told you about, and then radical forgiveness, where by the same means of identifying with one another, we're able to let go of any resentments that we have for people and not have to carry that stuff around, because that burdens us when we're trying to, you know, find ourselves in our own expression.
At least it's on.
And then the last one is radical surrender, which is really having faith in the way this universe is working. You know how a wildflower will grow through a crack in the pavement, kind of, you know? That's what each of our lives is really like. There is this positive, animating force that's coming through our lives. It's pushing us towards the sunshine. That's causing us to blossom, right? And if you have faith in that, if you radically surrender yourself into that as a process, then you can live your dream.
All right, Robert Kopecki, it's been great having you on Everything Paranormal with Mark and Jeff. Once again, give the people your website.
Yeah, it's robertkopecki.blogspot.com. It's called Art, Faith, and the Cocoa Lion is the name of my blog. And How to Survive Life and Death is available in every place where you buy books, but I always recommend that you go to your local bookshop and ask for it. I think it's good to patronize our local bookstores.
Okay. Robert, thank you very much for being a guest on the show. You've been fantastic, a lot of fun.
Well, thank you, Mark and Jeff. It's been a great pleasure.
And make sure you can check us out, okay? You'll hear the broadcast will be Saturday night, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on DTMWickedRadio.com. Then you'll find it on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, broadcast and all that good stuff the next day, okay?
Excellent. Maybe without the echoes, huh?
Yeah, that was kind of a crazy beginning where we had a little bit of feedback back, but we got over that, so that was all good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Robert. Have a great night.
You guys.
Thank you, Robert.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hey. Well, in a little while, we have Pete, our wicked weather guy, that's going to give us our updated forecast. And,
you ready to go live?
We're going to go live with the simulcast.
Want to do it right now?
3, 2, 1.
All right, here we go.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the second half of Everything Paranormal with Mark and Jeff. I'm Mark, and that's Jeff.
Yeah, we're live.
Over there. He's live.
We are. Oh, can't smoke my cigar.
You streaming. No smoking your cigar. That's terrible. Our next guest, metaphysics and transcendent lovemaking. These two are very, very interesting, Jeff. You're going to like this.
Learn any tips?
Dr. Janelle Alex. Hi, Dr. Janelle Alex. And Rob, hi, guys. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Welcome. Hey, thanks for having us. Yeah, you're going to be the best guest we've had, I think.
Believe me, we've got more hits right now. We're actually starting our live simulcast too on video, so this should be very interesting. You guys are the first guest to be on. So Please tell our listeners all about yourself, who you are and what you do.
Well, as you said, I'm Dr. Janelle Alex. I am known as the Barefoot Soul Mentor, and Rob and I co-founded the Spiritual Peak Center, and we're authors of Sexy Challenges, Intimate Adventures, Inspiring Couples in Business and in Love, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Rob?
Yeah, and I'm Rob Alex, or Dr. Rob Alex, if you want to put it that way, and I am considered the guru of getting it on.
Or, as I like to call it.
All right.
Get it on. Wasn't that your nickname in high school, Mark?
That's back when I had hair. Anyway, go ahead, Rob.
But I have a passion for helping couples keep that spark alive in their relationship, in their love life, and experiencing this magical sexual experiences.
Wow.
Nice.
This is great.
Yeah.
This is PG rated tonight, okay?
No, we're going hard on this one.
Oh, we're not going hard. See, doesn't he say that, funny guy? I love to pick on him. He has more of a Boston accent than me. We're going hard. That's his thing. All right.
So explain to us how you walk a client or clients through this.
Right.
A single client might have some problems, but clients...
It can be experienced single, but we do believe that in a committed, loving relationship, it's exponential. So it's a lot more powerful. How do we start walking them through it? First, the big thing is a willingness to be vulnerable with each other, because it does take you to a vulnerable place, and you've got to both be willing to take, depending on where the relationship is. If the relationship is at this good point already or a great point and you're just wanting to take it to an even higher level, that's different, obviously, than if a couple is like, oh, my gosh, we don't even want to be together and there's no spark anymore. So it's a very different answer.
Yeah, and I think you've got to let yourself get, just let everything flush out of you and be ready to experience something new, something exciting, something wonderful, but you got to get rid of all the old junk that's in your baggage, and you just totally open yourself up and go, okay, I'm ready to, give this my best shot.
So, for example, thinking of a couple that we've worked with that already had a great love life and a great sex life, we were able to begin to have them step into some of the sexy challenges and just try to start working with those so that they, which sexy challenges are basically ceremonies for lovers. So there's a sacred component to many of them, but some of them are more physical. So it just kind of depends.
How do you check their homework?
Homework.
You check by the smile on their face.
Yeah.
I was going to say, tell you what, some of them, because when they come back and they go, oh my gosh, this or this happened, and it's not the graphic sexual thing, but it's some synchronicities that show up for them or some spiritual thing or whatever it might be for them. There you go. Then obviously they tapped into this magical transcendent experience.
Sometimes it's just a big smile on their faces.
Yeah.
Right? It is part of, it changes your whole demeanor. When you have a great sex life, your whole world changes. And, you do smile for all.
No, there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, it is.
I hope your girlfriend doesn't see this, but I have to say that, if it's not like every couple of days, she gets like grouchy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I got to talk to you guys about new ways.
Well, I'm going to get deep, I can tell.
I'm going to get in trouble.
You know what? When you have a good sexual relationship, you work better, you do your other stuff better, you think better.
You're happy.
Definitely.
It's true.
Yeah. It's good to get it.
And, I want to say, as the only woman at the moment here, and being a mom and a business owner, an entrepreneur, that's a lot. And so it is true that women, we do have that tendency to be so overwhelmed with all the things that are going on. And so it's kind of hard to shut that off and to be able to step into a very physically intimate experience with your partner. So, there's things that when you have the intent to do that, it doesn't have to be, we hear the stories about Tantra, which there are tantric principles in what we do, but we hear those stories where it lasts for hours. And you guys, it doesn't have to be like that. It can be the quickie, or it can be, 15 minutes to a half an hour. That's okay, because it's this process of just being with each other and truly being conscious and aware, and that will absolutely heighten it and enhance it.
Oh, yeah. With good sex, you're entering like another zone. You become connected.
No, brother.
Yeah. Oh, no.
I'm uncomfortable talking about this with my brother.
But it has to be. It's not like a one night stand. It has to be like with someone that you're like, you're connected with already. But it can definitely heighten the connection.
Well, yeah, because you get the energy of both of you when you connect sexually with somebody that you love and that you have a relationship with. That energy that you share between each other, fills you both up. And it's not just, 1 + 1 = 2 here. When you put those two sexual energies together, it's exponential.
You have reached the voicemail box of 978.
Sorry.
That was weird. Anyway, hello, Skype. You go right ahead.
All right, go ahead.
But what he's saying is it fills out, or it feeds out, if you will, into your work, into how you are in traffic, because you're happier. And if you do have a family, if you have kids or whatnot, then you're just happier, and the entire family unit is stronger because the mom and the dad, or the two moms or two dads, whatever it might be, are just stronger as a couple. And so it supports the entire family, and it supports all of it.
That's right. That's why God gave us the gift of liking sex.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you guys are familiar with the bonobo love, but they have agreement monkey trot. They the females start having sex with the males to diffuse the situation, and there's a lot of thought process that goes into that. What kind of wars could we get out of if that was the case?
Make a lot more love, right? Than before.
Tell us about in business and in love. Tell us about that.
That is our latest book. It's been 6-7 months ago. The idea kind of came to me, and I thought, we need to put a book out there that shares stories of a variety of different couples. So we interviewed 22 other couples that are entrepreneurs, business owners. The vast majority of them run the same company. A few of them run 2 different companies or whatnot. But so we interviewed them and brought in their words of wisdom and their story, as well as, of course, our own story into that book, Inspiring Couples in Business and in Love. Because there are somewhere over 3 million couples in the United States alone that are actually in business together. And, when you are trying to be a couple, that can have its own challenges, obviously. And then when you're trying to run a business together, holy cow, now there's a lot of myths that go with that as well. You know, like, yuck, I'm going to see him all the freaking time. Or we're going to have a power struggle and all those things. And Rob and I have actually been in business together for a little over 10 years, almost 11 years. Yeah. And so we've had the amazing successes, and we've had the big, huge financial, failures, lost it all kind of story. So we definitely know how to help people that are working together have this amazing sex life and this amazing emotional life together, and not kill each other while they're working together. And the couples that interviewed have
there you go.
Threads. Yeah.
I mean, it's basically Are they cutting out?
No, I hear them.
Right.
We're here.
No, we haven't lost you.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay.
No,
everybody's
Jeff,
here.
Poor Jeff, he's just so
I'm so used to Skype dying on us.
Just keeps quitting on us, but we're doing okay right
now. That's my message
to
the universe. Maybe it's because of me that this is all.
Yeah, we did the Skype, the blog talk, but anyway, it's working. It's all
speaking
good.
Speaking of that, a woman, she's like so busy and this and that, and she's always got this on her mind. Maybe that's what she's putting out as a thought to the universe. That's why all this stuff is coming. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's not like thinking, well, I'm going to have time to be doing this. I'll have some time. Little periods will open up. I can get this done. Instead of sending out the message, I've got this, I've got soccer practice, I got this, I got that. There's always time. You got 16 hours a day you're awake.
And I think that's an interesting concept. I think at the same time, the guys then need to feed back to, in the same sense, like, my wife or my partner, need to have that thought process that she has time for me as well. And then be able to support each other and respect each other. Because, you know what, even if you don't run a company together, when you're in a committed relationship, it's a business. There's the household chores, there's the soccer, the football, all those things that you're talking about. It's still a business end of it and a business aspect to our relationship. So we have to treat each other as equals and peers and support each other in all areas, and then it makes a difference because that ends up in the bedroom as well as in the kitchen or wherever.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And something else to add here is, people have to get out of the mentality that there's a fairy tale ending to a relationship, and that once you hit a certain point that it's just all, fluff and flowers and good times. We teach couples that, it's okay to have disagreements and to argue. You have to know when to draw the line and say that's enough, and you have to know when to say, okay, this isn't even worth our trouble fighting about. It's such a silly, minute thing that we don't have to have a winner in this argument. And once you can do that, then the world opens up to you guys as a couple, and you can really get some things accomplished, whereas before you spent your time arguing about little tiny things.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. I'm hoping, wait, do we have a connection yet? Peter? Boy, Jeff. Skype. Go ahead, Jeff.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. That's all we got. No.
You threw me off track with Pete.
Yeah. We're supposed to have our wicked weather guy calling, but evidently he's having issues too. So.
No, I have a question.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys do this in person, or now with the internet, do you do it on Skype and Zoom? Can you do it both ways?
Very good question, Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you connect with people?
A lot of what we do is Skype, or even on the phone, of course, because we work globally. So we have clients all over the world. So obviously, unless they were going to pay us a hell of a lot more, we don't travel all the way across the world to work with people. We would, but
we would. If anybody's out there, we would definitely do that.
Yeah, if they want to pay the ticket. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I have to hire a nanny for the young one, but no,
they'll do that too.
Pardon?
They'll do that too. You say, all right, here's the
Well,
package I'm sending you, and then, let's make an agreement. We'll be out on the next plane Monday.
Right. So, but yeah, I mean, that's a lot of what we do. And, of course, we do have just online courses that are available so they can access that from wherever, as long as they have Internet connection. Because not all of what we do is, in private or in person or live, whatever you want to call it. There's just some of the courses that they can access on their own time that are pre-recorded.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, because then you're getting your message out there that way, too. And, I mean, there's, like, a lot of stuff that's probably just for couples, not, like, directed, like, at any single couple. But I bet you there's a lot of stuff that you can teach.
Man, you should make videos. Make videos.
I don't want to say generic because that kind of cheapens it, but you can put together a message for people just to educate themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly.
Right. And it is a lot less expensive, to go that direction than, investing more, obviously, of their own time and of their money than to work privately or individually, whatever you want to call it, with us or one of us or whatever. So, there's different.
The good thing is, too, is maybe it's that they're getting their foot in the door and then they'll move to the next, going one-on-one with you. But at least they're getting an idea of what you're teaching them.
Yeah. Right, absolutely.
Yeah, well, it gives them some comfort, too, because they're not having to go to an office somewhere and they're not having to, have that initial face-to-face conversation. It gives them a chance to warm up to us without having to be, like, thrust into a setting that might be uncomfortable to them. They can do it in their own homes.
Well, and, a lot of people are, especially until you get to know someone, they're not comfortable talking about their intimate lives, be it their emotionally intimate lives or their physically intimate lives. So it gives them an opportunity to learn things in that way without having to actually even talk about their own stuff to someone else in the beginning if they choose to go that route.
Yeah.
It's all good. Now, you guys, tell us a little bit about some of your paranormal experiences.
Ooh.
And you've had some.
That's fun. It's all fun, but that's what kicks this all off in a way. Okay, so the way we usually do this, I was in graduate school for transpersonal psychology, which the easiest way to describe that is just to say it's spiritual psychology. And mind you, none of what I was studying was sexually focused. But right in the beginning, I came across an article in one of my courses on transcendent sex. And I kind of laughed, and I passed the article off to Rob because I said I knew, as I call him Mr. Frisky, I knew he'd want to read it. So he read that.
Mr. Frisky.
And it was an eye-opener. Although, I was always considered myself a very sensual person, I read this article and saw these other experiences that people were having, and I was like, this might sound terrible, but I was like, maybe I'm just not paying enough attention during this time.
Yeah, we've been married, 9 years? I think it's 10 years at the time.
And so I said that I was going to pay more attention, and lo and behold, the first time I did that, an image flashed in my head. It was trees. I was laying on the ground and looking up at trees. So I wasn't the, fireworks or anything like I was expecting, and I thought, oh, that's nice. It's, interesting. I saw something, but I didn't realize the magnitude of it until a little later on.
A couple weeks later, I was actually at a seminar in California and for my grad school, and Rob ended up coming out and spending a couple of days after the seminar was over, and he was convinced he wanted to take me on a whale watching tour. I loved whales, so I was connected to them and so forth, and he wanted to take me to do that. And mind you, me personally, I've always been very connected to my spirit guides and those psychic moments and prophetic dreams and all that. I've always been very tapped in, and Rob was not. He was completely the opposite. Totally, he's like, whatever, with his spirituality. And, of course, we grew up, both of us grew up very rigidly Christian, and he just didn't have anything to do with it. So when he came out, though, and he wanted to take me on that whale watching tour, I knew intuitively that we weren't supposed to go do that. And I finally told him, I said, we can't. I don't know why. We just can't. I said, I have to take you to the Redwood State Forest. And so that's where we went.
Yeah, and we were there about 5 minutes. We walked into the park, and we walked down the first trail, and I looked up, and it was the exact image that I saw a couple weeks earlier at that point of orgasm where I got that vision. And at that point, my whole world just unraveled. I fell apart emotionally. Wasn't that I was sad or anything. It was just overcome with joy. And I was just, I knew at that time that there was a bigger calling for me than just, going through life mundanely.
And that's something that's been a little over 4 years ago now. And Rob has had every single time he's gotten since then. And
really?
tons of them up in daily life.
Oh. So,
yeah.
I'm speechless. That's good, though, isn't it?
It's the way that he connects, if you will, to, I don't know, what do you want to call it, to tap in, to kind of get some things that, sometimes those images feel like guideposts, or when you see something in daily life, that synchronicity, you're like, ooh, we're on the right track, and so forth. And beyond that, even now, well, I say now, but it was not too long, a few months after that first happened for him, I connected with a wolf, and wolves were never a big deal to me. Like I said, it was whales and dolphins. That was my thing, I thought. And this wolf showed up to me during the dream state, and I thought, and I just knew from the way that he looked at me in the dream that he was there for some reason as a guide. And I went into meditation. Mind you, I was at another seminar for grad school at that point. And I went into meditation that morning, and I said, okay, what's your name and why are you here, basically? And I got his name, and it was confirmed, oh, my gosh, just blatantly over and over and over again. And when I got home, within a few, I told Rob all about the wolf, and then Kale, which is the wolf's name, he began showing up in Rob's dreams. And Rob doesn't like to call them dreams, but
they're not dreams, but
they're visits.
Right. And we would have these visits, and I mean, we still to this day, they're sporadic. There's no rhyme or reason to them. They don't come after a certain time, or after we've made love or anything like that. It's just various times with some very specific messages about what path I'm supposed to follow, what we're supposed to be doing as a couple in our business, things like that. And this is so, and a lot of people will say, yeah, like Janelle believes it's a dream, but we've had
No. I want to clarify. Because of my psychology background, I call it the dream state. I didn't say it was a dream.
But we've had such things.
She got you there.
We've had such things happen as we've had a wolf paw print on our floor. I've had scratches on my chest during a visit.
Yeah, I have pictures. I have pictures of both, I guess, but I have pictures of the chest.
Where he was trying to get my attention in one of these visits. So obviously, to me, it's real life. How I'm experiencing it, that it crosses over. However, it starts out, but it crosses over into the physical plane here.
Well, and another cool part about this is that friends of ours, and they really were kind of clients and became friends because they were getting ready to travel, and they were a little nervous about something. And so the woman asked me if I would, just do a meditation and kind of send out some positive energy and just some thoughts to keep her safe on her travels, because it was a long, long way that she was going to be traveling. And what I was not expecting was a white wolf to come through, and no way was I expecting that. And long story short, we've now come to realize that wolf is Kale's mate. And so our friend, she gets visits from this other wolf. And the information, so often Rob and she will have a almost exact visit. They'll match up on the same night. And mind you, they live 12 hours difference from us or something. Yeah. But it's very fascinating how those are so clearly connected. And even though she'll actually have her visit hours earlier on the it's simultaneous. You can tell from the when she emails us and tells us of the visit, it's simultaneous to connect to the visit that Kale had with Rob. It's just fascinating. And then things that Will have said or have happened or have done here, things that there's no way that our friends could know about, White Wolf, Karen, will come through and tell our friend something about that. You know, and it's just fascinating how that works. And knowing that we've been able to introduce other people to their guides. I mean, this one's connected to us, but other clients be able to connect to their guides as well. And it's very powerful when that can happen. And so we get super excited about it.
Yeah, it's
definitely speechless.
It's different.
It's never speechless. Wow. You guys, once again, tell our listeners your website and how they can get your products, your books, and to get in touch with you.
We have the newest website that's got more access so that you can find our different things that we offer. That is thespiritualpeakcenter.com, and that's peak with an A. So we can see Pikes Peak from our yard. So so that's the place to go to find everything.
Nice. All right, when I said earlier I was speechless, but I mean that's good you have that other
Very
person
unusual.
with the other wolf to validate what you're thinking and what they're thinking, so you don't think you're nuts. It's good to have, like even us in the paranormal field. It's good that we go in and validate what people are thinking and seeing, and as we prove that they're not nuts. So we know you're not nuts. Isn't that nice?
No, but still, even when you experience it personally, there are times when you go, really? And you kind of scratch your head, or because I have another guide that's my main guide, and when she comes through, it feels really good when I get that validated in some other obvious place.
Definitely.
Because the humanness still comes in and we doubt ourselves.
No, it's the same thing when we're like on doing an investigation. I'll go around and Mark will record me, but I mean I'll go around and say what I feel, and a lot of times it's like, really, this is what I feel, and I don't trust it, but I learn, as time went on, I just say it and see what happens. It's sometimes it makes no sense, but other times it's right on. So it's not always things that we see and hear. It's not we we can't see the concept of them sometimes.
Right. You don't get the immediate meaning. Right.
Yeah. So it's like something like that.
Yeah, because I had an interview, I don't know, probably a month or so ago, and I was talking about, spirit guides or animal energy and so forth, and I can connect, and for whatever reason, I'm usually able to connect and either get a name or tell somebody what their animal is. It just comes through. And so someone asked, said, hey, could I do that during the show? And I'm like, sure, whatever. And so they were on Facebook, I guess, in a group or something. And so they were talking about it as I was, on the the recording. Well, it was live, but and I said, I'm not getting an animal. I said, all I'm getting is the name Sam, and it was just so clear and so strong. And I said, I don't know, it doesn't sound real sexy, but that's all I was getting. And lo and behold, the lady instantly jumped over on Facebook and she said, yes. She said her good friend had been telling her that this dog she used to have, his name was Sam, and that he had been watching out for this woman. And so it was just such utter validation. And so when those things happen, it's so cool, because here I am sitting there going, wow, I got a really boring name. And I felt bad.
Yeah, everybody needs
But you stuck with it.
Sorry, I didn't mean it that way.
And the good thing is you stuck with it, and you didn't try to change your path. You just kept going it, and that's the hardest thing to do, is when things aren't coming the way you think. Like you say, oh well, was there a woman? No. And you near the water? No. And then you just keep going, and then the answers finally, hopefully, will have something to do with what you're looking at.
Yep, kind of what we do. Exactly.
Can I tell my cougar story?
Cougar story?
I know you say I'm supposed to let the guests talk.
Yeah, I'm supposed to let the guests talk about
this kind of is...
All right, we'll give it 2 seconds.
This is kind of...
Yeah, I want to hear it. The animals.
All right, they want to hear your cougar story.
All right, I live in a place in Beverly, and it used to be this big mansion, but
Beverly, Mass.
I feel before that it was like an Indian settlement. I can feel that there. It's like the land, you can just feel it. And since I've been there, I have this, it's a black shadow cougar that I see all the time there. And it's just, it comes to me and then it goes away and then it's like, has no, it's just there. That's it.
That's cool.
That's the story?
Yeah. I mean, what do you think?
What happens next?
Yeah, it's kind of like they're wolves. So it's like, so I can see what they're talking about because, I have no one to validate this with though. I would love to see. I know that people have seen this.
Really?
Nobody has ever. I want to look in the papers and see if anyone has ever seen this. Because
interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
It's and I've seen it probably 4 or 5 times.
Okay. So I just got chills. So I don't know. I just I don't have information, but I feel something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe you wholeheartedly because I completely got, it took a second and then all I could feel it come over me like stuff does. So I call it I got a hit, which I don't know, may sound funny, but that's what I say.
Oh, she's
but,
good.
Not only that, there's a whole Indian tribe out there that I go and I sit with. They kind of let me in. What happened? Can I tell my 4th of July story, which leads to this? There's this tree on my land. There's this tree that it had this cable around it, and it was cutting into the tree. You know how a tree grows around something that's so tight?
Yeah.
Well, it just kept bugging me, and it kept bugging me. So 4th of July was pouring out. All plans got canceled. So I was just out there, and I was looking at it, and I cut the wire off. It took me about 20 minutes to get through it.
Yeah.
I pulled it off, and the next day, there was the shape of a heart on the tree. Mark's seen it.
I did.
It's still there today. And this happened 4th of July, and that heart is still there. It's a different color of the tree.
It was pretty good.
But
convincing.
Since then, it's like the land, I really feel like there's Indians out there that accept me. I came home the other night, though, actually, from last week's show.
Right.
And the energy I felt from the woods, it was something like... They didn't really want me that night, so I got the feeling I really wasn't wanted right in the house.
Yeah.
But that's the only night I've ever felt like that.
I've noticed after a few shows that activity increases here in this house.
Yeah.
I live in Montana. That's kind of how we got the house. Yeah, I'm on a ley line in Salem, Massachusetts, which is a huge electromagnetic field, and it's very energetic.
Oh yeah.
Place. And I swear after every show. Because we do the studios here in the house, it's upstairs, and that's it gets more active. It's really crazy. We're not even talking about them, but they know we're here. And I think a lot of our more sensitive guests will draw these spirits, around, and they kind of check us out. Oh, what's going on? Well, they can communicate.
They know they're you guys, so gravitating there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. They'll drain you.
Yeah, actually, then I think they're getting a lot of energy from all the electronics we got going.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah. They're sucking off of that.
Yeah. The amps and everything.
Yeah. I mean, we get enough to power up Fenway Park here.
It's so fascinating, and I just never anticipated, because I grew up in a house that had activity. And, we saw things and cabinet doors open and close, kind of the stereotypical stuff. But It was a friendly energy, whatever it was. And, we had some really outlandish things happen. But I never anticipated that years later, my ability to connect, or whatever you want to call it, and all the different experiences that we've had would somehow then be linked to lovemaking in some other way. So I'm really blown away by that. And we've not heard anybody else have the story, other than the people we've taught it to and worked with. We haven't encountered anybody else. And I'm not saying nobody else has had it. We just haven't encountered anybody else that taps in the same way that I can tap in that way too and get visions at points, at the point of orgasm or after orgasm or whatever, but I can sit here and do that. So I don't think mine's special to that or directly connected to that. But then Rob and others of our like I said, our clients have learned how to do that, and it's so freaking profound and amazing. I'm left in awe every single time.
Oh yeah, that is. I mean, and for your story, I would say it's unique. I don't think there's many people you're going to find that have the same story.
Well, we're going to try to change that. We're trying to
just before they meet you. After they meet you, they will. But before they meet you, I don't know if you're going to find many people that went that route. That's good. Someone had to blaze the path. May as well be you, right?
You're a fun couple to hang out with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think at such a young age, we're taught to shut all this stuff off. If you experience something, your parents or your friends or whatever try to explain it away, and we get in that mindset of, oh, it was just the wind, or oh, it was just a light or something like that. We get in that habit of explaining it away instead of going, okay, I just saw something, or I just witnessed something, or I just felt something, and experiencing it further in that manner than just trying to explain it away.
And learning to trust in, because we've lost that.
Yeah.
Because you go back in your ancient times and they did trust in it, whether it was the dreams or whether it was seeing things or their intuition and feeling.
Right.
And Western, especially the Western lifestyle, has really tried to shut that stuff down and done a heck of a number on it.
Yeah.
So being able to change that and
we're pretty closed-minded.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Bostonian.
We had one guy on that said that the aliens wouldn't come to the United States first because we all have shotguns and we're waiting for them and beat the crap out of them. He goes, they're going to end up landing in Russia first, and they're going to spread from there.
That was a fun show.
We go, how come they won't land in the United States? He goes, because you're all own shotguns, and they're afraid they're going to get beaten up.
What?
It's like, that probably makes sense.
Then there was no, never mind. That's maybe we should do a revisited show someday, huh?
Yeah.
Do the revisited.
Yeah, there you go.
Next time our Skype breaks.
Yeah, I'm just imagining because like I said, we're from Central Indiana, so originally, so we can kind of say that. But yeah, those rednecks out there, they're gonna be like aliens. Oh my gosh, they're gonna be shooting.
Oh yeah.
So.
Well, I think another thing too that I want to bring up here is that our children can a lot of times tap into things or sense things or see things that we can't see. And again, we try to shut those down instead of, having them explain it to us, describe it to us, because I think they do see things and they do experience things. And it's just in our nature as parents and as, what we went through to go, okay, no, that's not true. That's not what you're experiencing. So whenever our children experience something, I always want them to explain it to me. That I want to try to see it through their eyes and to feel it through how they felt it. And so that, I'm not quick to explain it away. I just want to enjoy it as they enjoyed it.
Well, and also I've tried to make sure that they feel safe. So, having those conversations of what they could do to make themselves feel safe and protect themselves. And, we've had those conversations. So it's not scary, as I don't say as much, but because some of the stuff I experienced as a kiddo was kind of scary, but it was nothing mean, but it was just like, when it happened. I'm able to, so that they grew up in a different way. So hopefully not shut off, so maybe they won't lose it like so many people do.
We've had cases just recently even where children see things and all
kids see things.
Yeah.
It's told not to.
One kid would stand up in the corner of his crib towards the dark corner of the near where the closet was upstairs, where actually people have seen the shadow woman and or the apparition of the woman. The baby would look up there and cry. So it's kind of and that was just this weekend.
Yeah.
They definitely see and sense things. My little Australian puppy, he's an Australian Shepherd.
Yeah.
He senses the spirit. Yeah. He'll start barking and growling and
or he'll come right near one of us and
yeah.
You know, if he's too freaked out about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one. I guess we had two inside dogs as I was growing up, and they always did that. They would just bark randomly into the corner of the room in the house I grew up in, and definitely our kids have seen things and continue to see things at times. So yeah, it's very fascinating when that happens, and there's been a few times that I've been able to catch a glimpse of what our youngest has seen. But I'm like, darn, because I can't quite see what he sees, and I would love to see it. And so when he describes it, and to see him experience it, to be sitting next to him and him seeing it is, you're just like, wow, that's freaking cool. Yeah. And then to not be able to see it, I'm kind of jealous. Yeah, like, I want to see it. So.
Yeah.
That's being able to raise our kids and, a different mindset that, and with Rob and I, we also are teaching our kids, because a couple of them are just now grown men. They are 18 and 19. And, teaching them going forward that their sexuality is a beautiful thing that can connect them very deeply to their spirituality, however they want to look at that. But, and of course, as our younger one gets older, to teach him the same thing and how that can connect them in some cool way to stuff that what so many consider paranormal, because it's not what everybody thinks is typical. So,
Paranormal covers everything.
Well, it does.
Anything unexplained is paranormal. Hence the word paranormal. It just, the media has taken it as it's a ghost, but anything that is not normal is paranormal. Yeah. Like anything you can't explain.
Unexplainable. Inexplainable.
Yeah. It's so I mean there's infinite ways to have paranormal experience.
Yeah, I mean, even with that, because we have the number 33 shows up for us, that or 333, just, oh my gosh, so many, numerous times a day. Cool.
That's not good.
No, 33 for me, that's a good sign. I see
3's were...
I see 333, 444, and 777 all the time.
Okay. Yeah, we get the 333s and the 44. I get the 444s. I don't think you do, but I do. But, so it's just uncanny. And some of the times the way they show up and the synchronicity. So, but that, like you said, technically that would be paranormal because when it shows up like crazy so many times in a day or around a certain thing. It's really wild how that happens.
I know what you mean, too, how it shows up anywhere. Like, you'll see a truck drive by, and it'll be on the side of the truck or something, or, not like even just a license plate. I probably see like 30 license plates with on it a day. But then it shows up in other ways that
number
pop
3?
up. 333, or I see 444, a lot of 77. Do you ever look up Doreen Virtue's angel numbers?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where... I look those up whenever I start seeing a lot of different numbers that
So what are 3? What's 3 and what's 4?
I don't know. I forget what 3 is. You
3's,
guys remember?
The 4s have to do with angels, and the angels are around, like the archangels.
Yeah.
And then the 3s,
right.
the 3s are, and if I'm not quoting it from Doreen Virtue, I may be getting elsewhere, but the 3s are that the ascended masters are around you. So, and I know one of my main guides that comes through, I eventually figured out that he's an ascended master, and I didn't know that at the time. I'm like, oh my God! But as an example, a couple of years ago, year and a half ago, I was supposed to travel from Colorado to California and spend a weekend with a really good friend of mine, childhood friend, and we were going to spend the weekend together in San Francisco. And our guides came through with this message that I was not supposed to go. If I did, something bad was going to happen. And so I was like, and I called my friend, and she's really become very connected to things in the last year or so as well. And I said, I can't come out. Something's wrong. And part of the message that came from our guides, from Karen, was that I was supposed to, what I figured out was that I was supposed to travel back to Indiana and see my family, and see my parents anyway. So I did that, and on the trip, I actually right now, since it's been a year and a half ago, I doubt I could remember how many 3 3s or 333s showed up. but it was uncanny, even to the point of, this may sound funny, but I was driving my dad's car, and I had stopped to visit with an old friend or whoever it was, I don't know who it was, and I thought, I'm going to run over to Wendy's, the fast food restaurant, and grab some French fries. Because at the time I was vegan, so I wasn't eating a lot of gross fattening stuff. I was being a little careful. But, and I pulled in, and I thought, I don't want to go there. Something told me to leave. So I drive around the block, if you will. This is a small town, mind you. But I drive around, I come back, and I get out, I go in, and I order French fries and a drink or whatever. I go back to the car, and I sit down, I turn the car on, and I realize that the speedometer, I think it was the tripometer because it was all threes. And I'm like, no way. So I take a picture of it on my phone, and I text one of my friends because I had just been telling them the story of all the threes. And as I was sitting at the Starbucks there and telling them, like 2 different things popped up, threes written on the window and something else. And so I texted my friends, and they're like, no way. And then I looked down at my receipt, and I had spent $3.33. And it was just, and there were some other ones that were like bam, 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 right there. And
when it starts happening, it's just a floodgate. It seems like.
Yeah, it's fun and funny, and so it's just about being open and going, okay. And for me, I was like, yep, I was supposed to be there at that time. I did what I was supposed to do. That was what I felt.
Yeah, there you go. So. Yeah, you got to take the signs that are given to you. I mean, a sign can come in anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to look for numbers. Yeah. Maybe I'm missing it.
You know what? As you will, you'll start seeing them more because you can start, the universe will start giving them to you. So once you open up to that, they'll start coming to you.
Starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to be looking for the numbers.
I mean, you'll see them. You don't have to worry about it. And then,
perfect.
I have the same thing happen to me that, like, I'll go to Dunkin' Donuts and I'll get like a coffee and everything. They give you the receipt, and I look at it, and it's 444 or something, and I'm like, okay, so that's the path I go today. And 777 means like a spiritual connection. It's like with the higher source. So those are the 3 that I really see. 8s too, but only when I need them. 888 to me is a connection with my my guides and my angels. So I mean, I kind of put my own interpretation on the numbers too. And because what they mean to me, that's what I'm looking for is that sign,
Mm-hmm.
So when I ask when I ask what was the Dorian Virtue number, I really don't even use those. I have certain numbers mean something to me, and once I see them, I know that's a sign.
And that's what it's. I think that's what's supposed to be. What it resonates with when something resonates with you, and it makes sense to you. Instead of always believing what somebody else tells you, because that's a big thing that Rob and I teach, and we talk about, there's more than one path. And so, it's, okay, what makes sense? So we teach things in a lot of different ways, just because it doesn't always resonate, And so when something resonates, then you go, oh, okay, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And so the exact way that we go about things isn't going to work exactly for everybody else. I just don't believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've got all of the numbers, if they come in a sequence of 3s, mean something to me. But the 3 main ones I see are the 3, 4, and 7. But I mean, to me, like if I see a bunch of 9s, to me, I interpret it as something is ending and something new is beginning. 111, it means to me, watch my thoughts because I'm thinking something. Like I'm reliving the past or I'm thinking of something else. So it's like 111. Whenever I see that, it snaps me right back into the here and now, and I start thinking of what's at hand. And then each number means something different when I see it. But like I said, those 3 main ones, I see those all the time. Like you said, in any different form, especially when you're not looking for them.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful that you put your own personal stamp on them. And that, you really are paying attention when you see those and you follow that path. Because so many people would, again, just say, oh, that's just silly or, it doesn't work that way. But, I can hear it in your voice. And it's just, it's powerful. I know that truly follow.
Well, I think popped into my head. we've had so many paranormal experiences around Dale and Karen. And so another one that popped into my head, though, was, I don't know, it's been probably almost 2 years ago, but Kale had come through and told Rob to watch for the pennies. We were like, pennies? Okay, whatever. Well, then he was picking up change off of a table one day, and he picked up this penny, and he was like, no. And sure enough, someone had taken a black permanent marker and written 333 on a penny.
Oh, wow. See that?
Yeah. Isn't that great? Uh-huh.
Cool. Yeah.
It is cool. So many times those things happen. And so you have to go, wow, and then just go, okay, I'm going to honor that, whatever the heck it means.
Right. And I think, the big thing is not to look for something grandeur to happen, but it's just, for me, it's just a tap on the shoulder saying, hey, you're going the right way, you're doing the right things. Keep doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do the same thing too with the animals. Like
animals, how?
I kind of looked them up on the totem, but my bird is a cardinal. I always see cardinals. Once in a while, if something is connecting, I see there's a hawk in the most bizarre place. Just different signs from animals that you see in just places that you shouldn't see, and it just makes you aware of it. So you want to know what that connection is. And once you look it up, it's always something that's going on in your life.
Right.
Like I saw I saw a duck across the street when I was at Mom's house, and it's dry. There's nothing there, and there was this duck. So I was like, oh, a duck. Next day I come out, and there's a duck. He's just sitting on the grass. I'm like, wow, look, a duck. Third day I finally looked at it, and I'm like, I'm going to look up what duck means. And duck means in the animal totems that you're about to prepare for a 28-day lesson in the Indian spirit totem.
Okay.
So that's exactly what happened. But I mean,
me being a skeptic, right?
Yeah.
I see a duck 3 days in a row. I'm thinking that duck is hurt, and he's sitting out there and he can't move.
No, because the second I saw him, I went in and looked on the computer to see what duck meant. I came back out and he was gone. I never saw him again.
Yeah, right. That's how we're different, but that's all right. I'm learning.
So that was it.
I'm more the techie guy.
Animals are so important to us, though, that we put together a program that's focused on what we call the sacred and sexy power animals. And there's only 12. There's obviously a gazillion animals, but we use 12. But it's so fun to be able to recognize them and tap into that. Because not only is it something going on in your life, but it may be your own, what I call your own individual animal energy. So, it's like, how are you showing up in the world? And so I think that's some really cool work to do. And so we created some fun stuff around that to help, our clients. It's
a good product.
Yeah.
Pardon?
That's a good product. I like that.
Yeah. So it's lots of fun.
So what's in your future? What's next?
Texas.
Well, yeah, it's after the show. But what's next?
What's next? We just have launched the Spiritual Peak Center, so that we've kind of put the umbrella, if you will, over all that we do, and really blend all that together. So that's really our big thing. And our podcast, we're adjusting some things with it so that we're going to bring in some more specific themes for each week. Whether it's about the couples spots, like a day that's focusing on the couples and the transcendent lovemaking, a day to help people merge their spirituality and their business, because that's something people ask me about a lot. So those types of things, that's kind of where we're at. And
we're getting ready to have a couple new books come out too that really teach people how to coach themselves. The coaching industry is huge right now, and there's so many out there that that I don't want to speak for Janelle, that I don't feel are really helping people. And I think, the one book that I'm working on right now, and Janelle's proofreading for me and fixing, is about, can you be coached if you don't have it in yourself? Are they bringing anything out of you that you don't have in yourself?
And he's blended the sexual energy into it, because I'm just now reading it, as I'm editing it. And I'm like, wow, this is an interesting concept. So it's going to be a very, and you know what? Actually, to think of it the way he's writing it, it's kind of paranormal because it's very different than the normal idea. So, yeah, we got some new stuff coming up.
That sounds great. Again, now let's go over your websites and your books. You have www.inbusinessandinlove.com, right?
Yes.
You guys are on Facebook, too. How do they find you on Facebook?
On Facebook, you can look up In Business and in Love or The Spiritual Peak Center. Or if you just look up Rob, Janelle, Alex, because our names aren't exactly common, you can usually find us because of the last name.
Right. That is Rob and Janelle Alex, folks. Doctors Rob and Janelle Alex. All right. What else do you have to add? Oh, let's ask one more.
Sex is a happy life. So they're on the right track.
Them. Like the happiest couple we've ever interviewed.
Oh, yeah.
They're unbelievable.
We have sex right now.
We have our moments.
We have our moments. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there you go.
People are like, oh, we want what you have. And I'm like, we still argue. You know, we don't always get along. And I'm the fiery one. So if we get into an argument, I'm the one yelling. But, you know, we also we know how to let it go and to just be okay with it and to not have to have a winner or a loser, you know, and respect each other. So, and yes, we know how.
I was just going to say, well, you read my mind.
Yeah.
Get out of here, psychic. Great makeup
Sometimes
sex.
Jeff
usually goes home and he's used to hearing this.
Fight and have to make up sex. That's funny.
Yeah. Rob, as you know, Alex, thank you so much for being on Everything Paranormal with Marky and Jeff.
Kind of like they call a fat guy tiny, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Come
on. You know, it's an off.
Guys, you've been a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, it was our pleasure. Thanks for having us.
No problem.
Right. Have a great night. All right, Jeff.
You too.
They were great. They were great. A lot of fun. A lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff. And they were our first guests on right there. Ustream. I think you caught me picking my nose a couple of times. And
hopefully that's it. We'll see in the video.
And those sodas we were drinking were non-alcoholic, right?
Yeah.
That cigar was just a cigar. It's all right. We're getting used to it. We had a couple of problems with Skype, but, hey, we overcame them.
We did.
And as we do every week.
We didn't have that much of a battle. We lost our weatherman, other than that.
Yeah, poor Pete. We got to figure this out. Man, we missed that.
Why don't you just drive here from Gloucester?
I'm thinking that. So what we're going to do. Next
You're only
have to come over here.
20 minutes away.
Well, Pete come live. He's got to come do the weather live.
Just come drive here. You can hang out with us.
Yeah, hang out. You
can't
tell all
that makes
secrets.
his night. He gets to hang out.
Oh, man. Oh, Jesus. I got to hang out with him.
Yeah.
We'll get him on live. It'll be all right. We'll do the whole show next week just for him.
Yeah.
Dedicated to Pete.
There you go.
It'll be like a Pete roast.
We'll set up a weather radar in the back.
Yeah, green screen. My kid keeps on saying, Dad, you got to set up a green screen.
Yeah. Why doesn't he set it up for us?
So my debut is tomorrow. How do you find the show anyway? We're on Ustream, on the DTM.
Ustream?
Yeah. The DTM Wicked.
Have Denny. Denny will text you.
All right, we're going to forward all that information on Facebook tomorrow, but I'm doing my paranormal thing tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of I'm going to just show some of the equipment and maybe some of the stuff I got. And I don't know. I mean, everybody's done it, but let's try it again. I'm going to show them the right way to do it.
Yeah.
To be honest, the good way.
There you go.
Yeah, we won't get in trouble and you'll be respectful.
There you go.
Yeah, and your show is on?
I'm on Chad Chambo's show, 8 to 9. And I don't know. I'll put the links up on my Facebook. I don't even know what they are.
Checking them out.
And then I'm doing my show right after from 9 to 9:30 or whatever.
What night you doing that?
This is all Thursday night.
Thursday.
Yep.
Thursday night.
Put all the
live on Ustream.
All the links on my Facebook.
Yeah. Well, hey, just do
and on my website, angelsguide.org.
What's your website?
angelsguide.org.
Right.
I'll put all the. I've kind of been neglecting it lately. I've been kind of working hard, but
it's good. Sometimes
it's there.
I
got everything up there that I need. It's just there. Just go to it.
Yeah.
Go buy things.
And don't forget, Haunted Happenings, downtown Salem, Massachusetts.
That's right.
This is the time.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you, honestly, just if you get in touch with me, either at witchcityghost.com or on Mark Legere at Facebook. Let me know if you have a group, and I'll set something up. We'll book you. We've got to book you now, though. You got to call soon. I do weeknights, too. Except we can't do Tuesday and Wednesday because of the whole radio and video thing. We're a little busy with that. But other than that, ready to rock.
Yep.
Give me a call.
Yeah.
We'll get your group down there. We will go around where you will be the investigator, okay? And I can't say I promise and guarantee results, but we get them most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Well, it's like fishing. You can't. You still get to do it.
Kick us out. All right.
All right. Shut her down.
It's about all the time we have tonight, guys. Thank you very much for listening to Everything Paranormal with Mark and Jeff. He's Jeff, and I'm Mark.
Yeah.
Thanks for the curveball. See you next week.
Tuning at this